Modern China went through 3 economic stages, and we are now starting a 4th. This affects you because everything China does affects countries, businesses, and people around the world, whether they are trying to or not. China is now pushing a common prosperity agenda in which assets from wealthy companies and individuals will be transferred to those with less. If you or your pension fund own shares in Chinese companies in China or ADRs listed abroad, they may be taking your money and giving it to Chinese citizens who have less. Why? We give you the background here. Welcome to the China Market Room. Tech, finance, trade and logistics, and media companies and governments are all facing a new world where China is moving fast forward in every area of human activity. They may have slowed a bit. China also has big challenges coming up, but the trend is clear. China is growing more important economically, diplomatically, and militarily. China's impacts on world markets, industries, and companies are growing, and most non-Chinese don't know much about China. They should. Come with us as we go beyond the hype to the reality on the ground in China. China's first economic stage was from modern China's founding in 1949 to about 1958. For 10 years, Mao Zedong led China towards full-on communism. Starting in 1949 to 1953, China conducted land reform. That's 土改 in Chinese. Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai estimated they killed 830,000 landlords, seized their land, and redistributed it to farmers. Mao Zedong himself said 2 to 3 million were killed. Statistics in China can vary. Then, from 1953 to 1958, the government transferred property rights of the seized land to the state and forced farmers onto large agricultural communes. At peak communization in China, Mao wanted families split up, with women in women's dorms and men in men's dorms. Kids were to be raised by the state. Everyone hated that. Large communes as social structures failed. They failed economically also. They didn't meet production targets, and China suffered 3 hard years, San Kunyan, from 1959 to 1961. This was the deadliest famine on earth ever. Estimates are that 15 to 25 million people died. There are many horrible stories of people eating grass and even cannibalism from then. The second stage was 1962 to Mao's passing in 1976. The failure of communization meant Mao was under threat politically from reform-minded competitors. He launched the Cultural Revolution, 文化大革命, to cut out the middlemen and sell his vision of permanent revolution directly to the people. Mao said old Chinese culture was the enemy. Society turned hyper-political, family members turned on each other, they closed the schools, and anyone other than CCP members, poor farmers, the military, and urban workers were attacked. It is hard to do business in a raging typhoon, so the economy was terrible. They took all private property and incentive from everyone. With politics in charge, by 1980, almost 90% of Chinese made below $2 per day. Everyone was poor together, and the poorer the better. The problem was that the old model did not harness the hard work and talent of the Chinese people by allowing them to build personal wealth. Mainland China was getting smoked economically by other countries in the region with capitalist engines like Japan, Korea, and even Singapore, which was comparatively tiny, but mostly Chinese. It was the economic system that was the problem, not Chinese culture. In Mao's China from the 1950s to the 1980s, it didn't matter how hard you worked, you couldn't make more money. No incentive meant no results, and that's what they got. We continue with more about the 4 stages of the Chinese economy in our next episode, China Wants Wealth, Power, and Respect. My name is Will. I first went to China as an exchange student in the 1980s, and then as a teacher in the 1990s, and then founded and managed education organizations and nonprofits in China in the 2000s and 2010s. I was fluent in Mandarin early on and traveled widely. I spoke directly to everyone from government and corporate leaders to farmers and taxi drivers all over China for 15 years. I went to China when everything was opening, and I left when it was clear China was moving in a different direction after 2012. If you run a business or organization, it is your responsibility to know and prepare and plan for likely events related to China that affect your industry worldwide. We can help. China Market Room is your efficient solution for this complex problem. Go to chinamarketroom.com for more info and to get in touch.